If you came to our small town, you'd find it a bit strange. Farms and big factories that never stop. We grow it, then we process it. We never forget where our drinking water comes from. Gum trees push up against real surprises out here, and the channels run past our backyards. Our country should be parched, but spectacular dams and weirs on waters in Australia's higher country turn places, even our place, hundreds of kilometres downstream, into irrigation areas. Our town is Leeton, southern New South Wales. Leeton has always been deep within Murrumbidgee country. Call it ironic, but it was irrigation, damming the Murrumbidgee River, that provided millions of hours of work for the people who had always walked its banks, fished its waters, and hunted on its plains.
The mighty Murrumbidgee, home to the river red gums and the she oaks. Also to a sacred animal that my dad told me about, the bunyip. But over the years he kept telling us, don't go there by yourself, go with a parent or an adult. I think he was just trying to protect us. At that time we couldn't swim, and that was part of his looking after us.
During the war years, Leeton was a good place to get work. You know, there wasn't a place on this side, the Murray River, could offer so much employment. And the cannery was going full swing then.
And it was a bit exciting one year that my mum was not happy, but I got on the cannery first before she did. My dad's chest just stuck out, he was very proud. Mum, however, didn't talk to me for a couple of days, but other than that, it was all right.
But I used to do the 4, you know, those big bins what they used to have. I used to do 4 of them a day on my own. One chap went out there one day and he was talking to him, and I was up the ladder. And the chap said to him, he said, gee, that fella can pick. And the boss said, Joe. Joe said, no, he said, that's not a fella, he said, that's a lady. I turned around and he said, oh, he said, yes, he said, you are too, he said. He said, I'm sorry, he said, madam.
I can remember heading off with my brothers and mum and dad, little young tackers, heading off to pick a few bins for the day. You're looking at about 16 to 18 bins a day. That was really hard work.
When you get up in the morning, or the day before, or the night before rather, Dad would be talking about how this is going to pan out, what role you would play tomorrow. So there was a really calculated plan. Every time you went out to that orange patch, you knew exactly where you were, what status everyone had. And as you got older, or you were able to carry 2 buckets, so then you were starting to get more tasks. You were getting promoted upwards, or, you know, because you've been able to achieve the tasks that he set the week before maybe.
You didn't want to be picking all day. You wanted to break that up a bit. So we played games, played doctors basically, and say, we've got to get all these oranges off these trees before this tree dies.
It was fairly good. The relationship between the Italians, the new arrivals, and the Aboriginal. They're ancient people from this land.
I can remember Mum going into labour. We raced her up to the hospital. One of my brothers was born that day.
My sister, Irene was her name, She's a very beautiful girl. And she said to her mother and father, I'm going to this beauty contest. It was in Randra, 57 or thereabouts. When she nominated to go there, the organiser of the pageant said, you know, we don't accept girls like you. And she said, what am I different? She said, no, your skin is a bit dark.
You guys are fools in love, so grow wise.
And she said, oh, well, that don't matter. I said, I'll stand up there with a group of girls. They won't mind. She was only 14, 15 at the time, and she stood up there on that catwalk, a brave little blooming girl you've ever seen. She didn't win, but she won for the people of Waterloo are just standing up there and having a go. There was racism around, but racism is an ugly, deadly monster. If you let it get over you and say, oh, I'm not going to go and work at that place because that's racist, they call you black bums or whatever, you're not going to get a feed, you're not going to get the money, are you? So you really defeat us in so much as that you let other people dictate to you what you can do and can't do.
I had an uncle whose name was George Ingram. I don't know if I'm quite as much as a rebel as him, but he spent a lot of his time in prison. But one of the fondest memories I have about him, and I'm not condoning the behaviour, I've probably seen him as a Ned Kelly really, and I remember we had nothing and it was showtime. So he just went up to the street. He came back with a box of clothes, brand new, and a box of groceries. And I thought, and money. We all got money and we all went off to the show.
We went to Leeton to do the swimming lesson. I come home, I was very excited. I can swim. Dad took me out in a boat. I don't know, it was a pretty crappy looking boat. I didn't know what to expect. And he's pushed me out and said, now swim. He said, this is how we've always learnt to swim. You sink or swim. But anyway, obviously I made it to the edge.
I still remember it being, it probably wasn't even raining, but I have a sense that it was raining all the time. But my brother had been killed on the Yanko Road. It must have been about 10 o'clock at night, but it felt like 3 in the morning. And I lived at Griffith at that time, so my aunt and uncle come and got me and brought me back to Leeton. And I do recall that particular night was quite foggy, and so my uncle actually followed the channel bank to get home because it was that foggy. And then when we got to the railway track near Ainsbury Crossing, my uncle just suddenly stopped. He just stopped the car and then turned to us in the back seat and said, I don't know why I stopped, but just as he did, the train had gone past. My other uncle tells the story where we nearly were killed as quite young, my brother and I, and with my mum and dad, that they crashed into the train on Ainsbury Crossing.
Only channel water to drink, no tap water or nothing. You had to bring it over in buckets and that. And the water bags, they had water bags and that hanging all around the trees and that in the shades and that. Half the time that'd be old hot to drink.
All my uncles were quite proud men, and all were, you know, Saturdays they would come into town. They'd be spruced up pretty much, yeah.
The white singlets and the white shirts just didn't happen. There was a lot of hard work going into it. The white singlet on the line represented the hard work, it represented who people were, it was about, it was a symbol of, you know, a job well done.
It seems to be water and the channels and the river is quite connected to us spiritually. And even in more recent times when my brother had passed away, I had to be somewhere where there was water. Ross is he is the second last brother. My parents worked really hard for him to go to university. He always wanted to be a doctor, so Mum and Dad still held down 2 and 3 jobs each. And he went off to Newcastle University that offered support to Aboriginal students who wanted to become, you know, go in the field of medicine. The last time that he actually, everyone had sort of seen him before Mother's Day, so he'd stayed up quite late and unfortunately he didn't wake up.
I was 14 years of age when I first went out in the shearing shed with my father and brother. There was a lot of competition between blacks and white in the shearing shed. I remember a place down here at Cuba. There was 4 from Leeton and there was 4 from Darlington Point, black shearers, and all the rest were where a wider community. There was a lot of competition there. Who would bring the shed? And my brother, George, 9 out of 10 times rung the shed. He was a 200 a day plus man and he used to shear with them little narrow gear. Old man wasn't far behind him, you know, until he got his eyesight gave out on him. But he saw his age, you know. At 78, he saw 78 sheep.
Dad learnt, he used to do rouseabout and he used to do fencing. A lot of times I would go with him doing the rouseabout, sweep up around the shed, pick up the little pieces. You knew to stay away from the workers. You never got in the workers' road.
Cut my finger off, straight across there. It fell down the ground, the old man picked it up, wrapped it up in towel and raced me to the doctor in a Griffith. It's right now. You see, all healed up and everything.
You know, in those days, they worked hard, they played hard, they drank a lot. For me as a young girl, that meant loitering around looking for Dad. God bless him.
One of the highlights I remember as a child too, just sitting here in the historic hydro, was walking up from school at the Leeton Primary School and walking up to try and catch Mum at work. When Mum was working here at the hydro, we were allowed to go to the side, round the side door, and Mum would often, even though I don't think she was allowed to, we'd often get some cakes or a sandwich from some function that went on here. If we did something wrong, especially as a girl, that you would often, you'd have to get, you know, like I would line up for 5 floggings, and often the most harshest one was with my father, because he would send us out to pick a stick and he'd test the stick and he'd be like, no, that's not good enough, go and get another one. And we'd be sobbing. Tell you what, we never did it again. So, you know, there are times that, you know, neither parent can make it to, you know, open days or book week or that we have today, but I do remember they did come twice and it was the highlight of our lives. Dad even came in his gumboots from the abattoirs. I'm sure there was even some blood on him and on his leg or something, so the boys thought that was pretty amazing.
I got a call to come back in for the last shift. So we did the last shift. We'd all stopped working, we just couldn't bring ourselves to work till the last 5 minutes. We were standing there, fruit was going past us and we just let them go because we couldn't bring ourselves to say, well, we're going to pick up the last piece of fruit for the last time. I don't know, we just sort of closed down ourselves.
Leeton is a nice place to raise your children, but we don't. It's the scary bit is that we become the people that these young people come to, and I don't see myself as an elder for sure.
Hard work is what Dad, Mum instilled in us.
Just be who you are, and whatever that is.
So my dad said to me, now, we're sitting out the front, we're having a cup of tea, he said, oh, now when I go, you know, keep talking about me and all that. Only the good things, mind you. And the other thing is that you must go back to work, you know, at least a week after. And I said, a week? I won't be able to do that, Dad. Then he reckoned, all right, 2 weeks and that's it, you have to go back to work. So, you know, I thought, oh, well, 2 weeks for him and 2 weeks for me. I thought that was pretty fair. So, yeah.
Standing out here now and remembering things, I actually miss my parents.
Look for me in my dreaming, in your heart, in the winds. Look for me in the storms at night, in the clouds over the sea. Look for me, look for me.